is Sarah. Welcome to the It's a Sarah podcast. Today it is Monday, January 29, 2024, and this is episode 125. I'm coming to you from the Netherlands, so excuse my Dutchy English. I love to knit, I love to crochet, and I love to talk, so that's the perfect combination for making this podcast. Normally I would say I want to share my handwerk perikelen, that's the Dutch word for crafty adventures, with you. But today I will not, because I have a special episode for you. Today will be a blanket episode, and I'm really looking forward to it. I just filmed my Dutch one, and I saw my head is quite red. I have red cheeks because I was so excited. And it's so heart jumping to me, all those blankets. So I did take a little break, but still the cheeks are quite red. So I will dive in the blankets with you in a minute. But before we will go there, I want to say a little bit about what I'm wearing. Let me start with my headband. I'm wearing quite an old headband. I don't think you can really see the pattern because of the dark yarn, and it's one of my first headband patterns I used. I'm quite sure it's named the Georgia headband, and it's a design by Yaroslava Designs. I guess I will link it down below, the link to the Ravelry page. And it was my first experience with a cabled headband, and I'm not wearing this a lot because I don't really like the color. It's a bit of red-brown. It doesn't really match with other items I have in my wardrobe, but I have quite a headband issue lately because I went to the hairdresser and my hair is much shorter than it normally is, and I don't know, my headband is just not matching. It's not feeling good. What I always wear is not feeling good because my bangs are too short. I guess that's the reason. So last Friday I spent all day knitting on headbands, but not really something did work out. But then I realized when I wear it with the tie, with a knot, do you say knot, I guess, at the front, this is the point where the seam is. I knit my headbands always back and forth, and then I seam the parts together, and then I wrap quite a yarn tail around it, so the seam is hidden, is hide. But also I love to wear this in my neck because it's a little bit less wide. But now I wear it as a decorative part, and I like it, so that's okay. I'm happy now. I'm also wearing my Kerr sweater. That's the design by Clow from the Creabea podcast. I really love this sweater. It was actually also meant to be for my youngest girl. She chose the color combination black and white. I don't think I would have chosen that. So, I don't know. It was not really something I think I would like, but I really do like it. And I chose quite rustic yarn, and she didn't want to have the rustic yarn, and I did want to have a Kerr sweater myself. So I did a modification. I made the neckline a little bit lower, and I really love wearing this sweater. So I'm happy. Oh, I have a little bit of my bracelet is. I think the elastic in my bracelet is at its end. Can I do this? Oh no. That's not a good idea. No, I just will put it away. So we will transfer one from the left to the right. Okay. Blankets. I'm also wearing my Hinterland dress. I will link it all down below, and also all the links to all the things I will talk about it. I am really a blanket lover. I think blankets are the reason my crafty career really was successful. I was a wannabe knitter for quite a while, but it didn't work out. And then I discovered crocheting, and that was much more. Not much more. That did work out. It was quite a challenge also to learn that, but it did work out. And at the end, I also learned knitting. So it's a love story. It's a success story. But crocheting the granny squares is the beginning of that love story. And I made quite some blankets. Quite some. I don't own them all anymore. I did crochet quite some blankets to give to other people I love. Also some blankets that are not existing anymore. But I really want to show some of the blankets we really use daily now, and my work in progress blankets. So it's really fun. It's really fun. Shall we start? We have to start with this one, because this is my first blanket, I guess, I made for ourselves. And also it is my first experience with a woolly yarn. When I start crocheting, I did start with crocheting with cotton and also with acrylic. I bought very cheap acrylic not even in the yarn stores. There was not really a yarn store, a nice yarn store in the city I lived, and not around the corner. There was, but not around the corner. And also the yarn was quite expensive. So I chose for very cheap acrylic yarns. And I would never do that now again, I guess, but it was okay for then. It helped me starting crochet, so it was perfect. I'm a bit of a yarn snob these days, but for then it worked out pretty good. But I did order also some woolly yarns, and I'm quite sure this is a Drops Nepal yarn. I don't work with Drops anymore now. I don't know really. There's not a specific reason for it. I don't know. It's not on my list. I know there are some different opinions about Drops. That also doesn't make it attractive, but I don't know anything about it, so I don't have an opinion. It's just not in my life anymore. But I am really happy with this yarn. It's a Aran weight, I guess, maybe worsted weight, and 100% wool. And I even saw some alpaca, but I don't really love alpaca. I don't know. Maybe it's not Nepal, but Alaska. Drops Alaska. I don't know. I don't remember. I will try to search, but I'm not sure if it will work out. But really a nice yarn in quite a big amount of colors. All the colors combined, and there's even quite some blue in it for a not blue lover. I do love those shades of blue. I did use a pattern by Lucy from Attic 24. I think it's called her Summer Granny Square Blanket, Sunflower Granny. I don't know. I did put a link down below, because this is not a traditional Granny Square, as I really, that's really the most hard jumping one to me. But this is with the circle in the middle. You start crocheting a circle, and the second round also, and at the third round you make a square of it. And I really love making it. I can remember it quite good. I made it in the summer of 2010. Yeah, it's also okay. My youngest girl was a baby, a big baby, I think 9 or 10 months. She was not big, she was very little, but not a very young baby. And it was in summer, and there was a soccer tournament, the World Championship or maybe the European Championship. So we were watching soccer quite a lot, and also it was very, very hot. It was 35 degrees. That's quite hot for where I live. And I was crocheting a woolly blanket. So I remember that so good. And our little baby, she was learning to stand up. We have a low couch, and she was pulling herself up so she can stand. And she was very proud. So little baby, oh, I can do this. I've learned it. And I was crocheting, also very proud. Oh, I can do this. I've learned this. So we both were having milestones in our lives. He was standing and I was crocheting a granny square. So it's very nice that I have those memories so strong in this blanket. It is a blanket. It's a bit hard to show them very well because the light shines through. But before I started chatting, I did film all the blankets laying at our bed, so you can have a little look at them. I guess I will add it in at the end, so you can enjoy all the blankets. And I should have started this episode with a warning. If you don't want to be influenced by blanket cast on, how do you say it? By a blanket cast on virus. I don't like the word virus, but in Dutch I was the kriebels, sparkling, blanket sparkles. If you don't want to have blanket sparkles, maybe you should not watch this episode, because when I was busy with organizing all my blankets, I felt all the sparkles heart jumping inside, and the only thing I could think was, I want to cast on another blanket. So if you don't want to, don't watch, because I wouldn't be responsible for an impulsive cast on. But it's so much fun. It's so much fun. I would I really wanted to, how do you say it? I would love to be responsible for some blanket love in your life. I really love blankets. I love to make them. I love to sit under them, and I love to watch them. And yeah, I really love it. This one has a bit of it's not a very big blanket, so it's perfect for at the couch. It's laying, we have a basket next to the couch where we put in all the blankets, and also my husband and children, we are all blanket lovers. We use blankets quite often to sit under when we are sitting at the couch, or sometimes decorative. I just hang it over the couch because it's looking so nice. So yeah, this is really fun, and it's 14 years old, almost 14 years old, and it's still looking good. Sometimes the middle round get loose, is opening because the yarn is not holding up. And the first time I saw that, I panicked. I thought, oh, my blanket, how can I fix that? But it's actually quite easy to fix the middle of a square, because you just pick some very strong yarn, mainly I pick cotton, and you with a darn needle, sewing needle, you go through the bottom of the stitches, and you tie and you pull it all together, and then you weave in the ends, and it's all fixed. So I'm not afraid of that anymore. So this is my first blanket, and yeah, it's a special one. Oh. They all are special. This is also quite an old one. Also a woolly blanket in some darker colors. This one is for my son. It's laying on his bed in winter. In summer I store them in such vacuum bags. You can vacuum with your vacuumer. I hate that word. In Dutch it's called stofzuiger. Dustsucker. That's the word in Dutch. Vacuumer. It doesn't sound cozy. Vacuumer. Dustsucker. That's a bit weird word. But in summer I keep them there with some lavender oil and all the things to protect them against moths, because I love my blankets, but I don't want to share them with everybody, certainly not with my moths. So in winter they are laying on the beds. And it's quite a heavy blanket, and also a special one. I followed a pattern from a Dutch crochet designer. Her name is Annemarie, and she's from studio Hip Stip. She doesn't crochet a lot anymore, but she a few years ago she published some books, and her first book in her first book was the pattern. It's not available anymore, and it also maybe it also was in English. I don't know. But the special thing of this blanket was, at first I made solid squares and some variegated squares, and I crocheted a big pile of squares, and then I made a black round. I crocheted a round, and then I put all the squares at the ground in the way I wanted to have them in the blanket, and then you crochet them together as you go at once with one skein, or probably that wasn't enough, so maybe 2 skeins. So you have to follow a way. It's a bit like a puzzle, a labyrinth. Do you call it like that? A labyrinth. And it's certainly not the thing I am good in. So it did take a lot of brain space to understand what I was doing. But the advantage, do you say it like this? The advantage of crocheting them together this way is that you only have to weave in 1 or 2 yarn ends, the beginning and the end. I didn't like the way it was okay to not to weave in all those ends, but it was laying at the ground and it was very intensive, and my back was not liking it. It was hurting a little bit, and I'm more as you go square per square. So what I prefer is crocheting a square, and then as you go, crochet the square next to it, and then weave in the ends. So you have to weave in more ends. I used to hate weaving in ends, but I did crochet a lot with different colors, so there were also always a lot ends to weave in. So at some point I thought I must weave in ends, so it doesn't help me to hate it, to not like it. Maybe there's a way I can like it. I do like it. So I fooled myself a bit. I made an appointment with myself that Sunday would be yarn end weaving in day. So during the week, I didn't have to weave in yarn ends of any projects, but every Sunday that was my thing. Every Sunday I grabbed all my projects and I did weave in all the yarn ends. And actually that was okay to do. So I did weave in all the yarn ends, and the funny thing was I loved weaving in yarn ends on Sunday. And the funny thing was when it was Monday or Wednesday or Thursday and I had a yarn end, I thought, I want to weave it in. And then I said to myself, no, Sarah, it's not Sunday. You have to wait until Sunday. I thought, okay, I have to wait until Sunday. And then it was Sunday and I thought, yeah, I can weave in yarn ends. And it was such an interesting, I can fool myself so good. It was such, at first I hated it, but by saying to myself, you can only do it on Sundays, it became something I really want to have, because it was, I only was allowed to do it once a week, so then it must be special. And it was quite a funny way. And Sunday is not weaving in yarn ends any day anymore, because it's not an issue anymore. I did it for quite a while and I was very happy on Sundays, and then yarn ends become just a part, which was okay. So I didn't have to fool myself anymore, and it was okay. I really love that you can fool yourself, and that something you can hate, you can turn. When it's really, of course, the first thing you do is, can I skip it? If you hate things, search for ways you can skip it. But I couldn't find ways to skip weaving in yarn ends. So then I decided, okay, then it's the only solution is gonna like it. And it did work out. So I'm a happy yarn end weaving inner. Weaving inner, that's not a word. So this is my son's and I really love it. And I did use Anel Malmedy for it. That's a Belgian yarn. And I used to help in a yarn store in a village next to my town for quite a while, years and years ago. And I didn't know anything. Oh, here you have, I can see a spot which I fixed. Do you see this cotton yarn shining through? That's cotton. I did fix the middle of this round. Yeah. I did help in a yarn store for quite a while, and then I didn't know anything about non-superwash yarn by then. I was really a beginner, and I did discover the woolly yarns, that I prefer woolly. Woolen yarns. I like them more than acrylic yarns. So after a few years the shop closed, and I did buy all her yarns from Anel Malmedy, a Belgian brand. It's a superwash woolly yarn, and I have quite some. But I would never buy it now anymore, because it doesn't knit up nice. It's pilling and it's not beautiful, but the fun thing is you can crochet very good with it. So don't regret that I bought so much yarn balls, but I just crochet blankets with it. So that's really really nice. Next one, this one. This is also a bed. Oh, this is interesting. Yeah. This is also laying on the bed. This is laying on the bed from of our eldest daughter, now we have 3 kids, a son, a daughter, and a daughter. So she's our middle daughter. She has a bed which is, how do you say that in English? You have 1-person bed and a 2-person bed, and you have an in-between bed. In Dutch we say een twijfelaar. Twijfel means doubt, so you have a doubting bed. Am I 1 or am I for 2 persons? That's a bit of a silly name. Is there a name for it in English too? A doubting bed. Now her bed size, so it's quite big. This is a scrappy blanket. I collected all my DK weight scraps, all kinds of yarns, a lot of Anel Mamadi, which I said, but also other yarns, and I just made tiny squares. And what I do with blankets, for me there's a big difference between blankets and bedspreads. I hope the bedspread, I googled it, I hope it's a good word. When I make blankets for on the couch, I really want to have, I really don't want to have a big difference between the front side, the right side, and the back side, the wrong side of the blanket. I don't love blankets for the couch with the wrong side, because when the blanket's on the couch, you want the right side up, you want the beautiful side up, but my family will not understand which is the beautiful side and which is the back side. So they wouldn't mind, they wouldn't see it, but my Miss Perfect is seeing it all the time. So I don't want to. I really want to have reversible, that's the word, reversible blankets for at the couch. And when you are crocheting a granny square, I will try to explain that, but it doesn't make sense if you are not a crocheter, I guess, because I can't explain it, but I will try. When you are crocheting a granny square and you finished a round, then you close the round with a slip stitch, and then there are 2 ways to go to the next round. One way is turning your work, and then you are immediately at the hole where you can start your next round with the next granny cluster. But the other way is not turning your work, and you have to go with a few slip stitches to the next hole where you can make the next cluster. When you turn your work, the crochet stitches do have a back and front side, and the difference is not as big as for example, stockinette stitch, the purl side and the right and the knit side. It's not as big as that, but when you are a crocheter and when you do have a Miss Perfect, it's very visible. It's very clear which is the wrong side and which is the right side. So when I make a blanket for at the couch, I always use the turning way, because one round will with the back side at the front, and one round will with the one round will be with the right side at the front, and one round will be with the wrong side at the front. So, and it will be, because it's divided, it will be reversible, and I like that. When you make a bedspread, it's not so important, because a bedspread is always laying with the same side up at the bed. So maybe I can show you. Let me first show you this blanket, because it's beautiful. It's very heavy, because it's also DK weight. It's very, very heavy. And it's brown. I did crochet little squares with all the colors, and I crochet them together the last round with the brown. I love this so much. It was so much fun working on this. Yeah. But let me see if I can show you. I have to go there. This is the right side of a granny square. And this is the wrong side of a granny square. It's more bubbly. Can you see it? Especially when you look at the light pink round. Look at the right pink round. I will turn right now. Do you see it? There is a difference. Yeah. And when you know, you know. When you can see it, you can't see it not anymore. So it's very, in the beginning, my daughter, when she makes up her bed and she put the bedspread back, she, every now and then, she put it wrong side up. And I said, that's not the meaning. No, I said it nice. I'm not such a mother. I said, you see, you turn it with the wrong side up. And she said, I can't see it. But now she when you can see, you cannot not see it anymore. It's also happening with her. I really love this blanket. It's really nice. It's not, it's on the foot only half the way for the bed. The white, how do you say it in English? It has the right white, but not the right length. But that's also not necessary. It's a decorative blanket and a warm feet blanket. So I think it's until her middle or something. But it's really looking nice. It is hard jumping. For a brown lover, it's really hard jumping. I make my blankets with quite different colors. And especially the scrappy blankets, I use all the colors. And my yarn stash is quite colorful, and although I prefer brown and the natural colors, but I'm very happy that I also have the colorful yarns and I can make the scrappy blankets, because I think there is also quite a colorful part in me. When my yarn stash would be only brown and natural, I would love it, but it would also be a bit boring, I guess, to me. I don't know. I'm happy with all the colors, and I really love all the color combinations. But I can tell you more about that with this blanket, because this is my first sock yarn blanket, my scrappy sock yarn blanket, and I learned so much from this blanket. It was so hard jumping. I did own a lot of sock yarn. I own a lot of sock yarn, and I did have some advent calendars a few years ago, but also I did work for Long Yarns. Long Yarns is a Swiss company, and I quit for quite a while right now, but for 2 or maybe 3 years, I made the pictures for their social media in the Netherlands, and they sent me a big box of yarn every now quite often, and I was allowed to keep all the yarn. I have to take pictures and share them, and the yarn was for me, so I get paid in money and in yarn. So that was quite a dream job. But I quit because Long Yarns was really a lovely company to work for, so lovely people, but it's not my yarn. It's not hard jumping to me, so that's the reason I quit. I found it very hard to be creative for something that was not really hard jumping. That was not working out for me. So, but I had quite a collection of sock yarn, because especially the sock yarns I wanted to keep in my stash, but it was way too much, and also I didn't want to have socks in all those colors. So I started a scrappy blanket, and it is really fun. Those are big squares, and this one doesn't have a main color, so I didn't use one color for the last round, so it's looking a bit more busy. And when I was making the squares, I did start with this one. I remember that I thought, oh, I really do not like it. I think it's quite ugly. But I kept going on, and there were color combinations which were really hard jumping to me. I thought, oh, I want a blanket only in those 3 colors, or sweater or whatever. But there were also color combinations. I thought, oh, I hate this. I really don't like it. But the fun thing, actually the amazing thing, which impressed me the most, was when the blanket was ready, when all the colors came together, all the different colors, it was one part. It was one blanket, and it was really a hard jumping blanket to me. It was so inspiring that you have so many little different parts, and you put them all together, and all those little different parts, which doesn't seem to match when you are looking to them when they are alone. Oh, I have a little bit of that yarn, a little bit of that, and you are watching and you think, are they matching? And you think, no, they really are not matching. But when they are disappearing in a big amount of little leftovers, then they are one piece. And I found that so inspiring for other things in your life. Sometimes you have a little bit of that and a little bit of that, and you think it doesn't make sense to combine that. And then, but when you do combine it, at the end, it's a beautiful whole. And yeah, that was so inspiring. And really hard jumping, because in the beginning I did chose my colors by looking at the other colors, by combining, but it didn't really work out. And at the end I wasn't looking at the colors anymore. I was just looking, how much yarn do I need for this round? Because you can imagine the first round you only need a little bit of yarn, but the round number 20 you need a little bit more yarn. So I was just using up all the little leftovers and looking if I could make a round with it. And it was my plan. I made squares. I think they are 20 rounds, I'm quite sure. It was my plan to make just a straight granny square blankets, but then I'm quite sure I saw it at a Dutch Instagrammer. Her name is Linda, and she made diagonal squares, and I really loved that idea. So I had to figure out, and then I added some triangles. I could still, although I was already, I did begin at the blanket and I was already on my way, I still could turn it by adding some triangles at the corner and at the border. And now the squares are diagonal. I don't like that word. But I do like the look. Really, really hard jumping. This is a one person's bedspread size. And it's laying on my youngest girl, her bed right now. I didn't make it special for her. The other two I did make for my other kids, but she didn't have a blanket yet. My mom also made blankets for every kid. But those are cotton blankets, and she really also wanted a woolly blanket, so she grabbed this one from the couch. And I must say I was a bit disappointed that it was not on the couch anymore, but it's looking very good at her bed, so it's okay. So it's really nice. And I also really love the fingering weight blanket. Of course it's more work, more time consuming to make a fingering weight blanket, but it's also not as heavy as the other blankets. So when you want to bring your blankets with you, I don't know, when do you bring a blanket with you? That sounds a bit silly, but I mean when we go on holiday with our caravan, when we go camping, then it's a nice blanket to bring with you. It would be lovely when you are going to visit someone and you said, oh, I brought my blanket with me because I can sit under my blanket. I'm used to sitting under my blanket at the couch, so I want to feel at home. Or when you go to the cinema or whatever, you can bring your blanket with you. You can do it with a fingering weight blanket. Put it in your backpack. Hello, I'm Sarah and I brought my blanket with me. You can hide if you want. That's when you think situations are too overwhelming, just hide under your blanket. That would be fun. Yeah. Okay, so this one is really hard jumping. They are all hard jumping. This one is too. I didn't make this one. I got the most questions of you about this one. This one is laying on our bed and it's made by my mother. She gifted to me for my birthday and I am really grateful for that. This is a cotton blanket. Let me see. I think this is the right side. It's lovely. This is a cotton blanket and it's inspired in the Netherlands in the 60s and 70s and maybe also in other countries, I don't know. But there was a crochet technique and you call it, in Dutch you say filet haken. Is that also the English? Filet crochet? Oh, I don't know the term for that. But it's by playing with crocheting double crochets, and skipping one, you crochet in rows, and by skipping one every now and then you create patterns. And this way the women made so much curtains and tablecloths and bedspreads and all the things. And there is a Dutch company, and I don't know if it's a company, I don't know if it's the right word, it's called Haakplein. And they organize crochet alongs. And in 2019 or maybe 2018, they organized the Nostalgia crochet along. nostalgic, and it's inspired by the crochet in the 60s and the 70s. So it's also crocheted with durable cotton that was also very popular in that time, and it's a crochet along, and you crochet in how do you say that in English? In small parts. In Dutch I would call it banen. You crochet this part, and then you have a new pattern in that part, and at the end you crochet them together, all those long parts of your blanket. You crochet them together with a little in between, or you sew them together. I don't know. I don't really know. I didn't make it myself, but I really love the look. And it's a cotton blanket, so it's not as warm as a woolly blanket, but we have a woolen blanket at our bed, and this one is laying on that blanket, and I really love it. It's lovely. My mother, she did make so much blanket. No, so many. She did make so many blankets also, and it's really lovely to have it on my bed. I checked for you, and the pattern is also available in English. It's a crochet along, so it's in really different parts. I did follow a few crochet alongs myself many years ago, and I really love the idea of a crochet along. I didn't do it for years right now, but I know there was a Dutch designer, and she made a crochet along for a blanket, and I made it for my sister. And it was also so nice that every week a little part of the pattern came out, and you were looking forward to it. It's a bit the same as the mystery knit along of Stephen West, and I know there are quite some crochet alongs still. I see them on Ravelry every now and then, but yeah, they're not really around me, I guess. But I really love the idea of a little bit of homework. When I was going to school, when I was a student, I hated doing homework. I don't know, is the homework the good word? The things you have to do for school? Oh, I really didn't like it. But crochet homework, that was okay. So you get a part of the pattern every week, and then you make it, and then you have to wait until next week, and yeah, it was really nice. But the pattern is available in English, and they organize a crochet along every year. No, I don't know. There are several crochet alongs, and you can all find them there. But I also found a Ravelry link with also the English pattern, so I will link it down below. And maybe you can have fun. You can also make it in wool, I guess. But the cotton is really nice, and it's also I always make quite colorful blankets. It's nice to have a neutral one. Yeah, so, okay, I can throw it at the bed. Then the last one, this is also a very special one. This is the first thing I ever made for my husband. Of course, when you are watching my episodes, a few episodes back, I showed you the first garment I made for him, his cardigan, and I also did knit quite some socks for him. But this is really a few years ago, and he really wanted a blanket. He asked me, can you crochet a blanket for me? And that was really hard jumping that he asked me. And I thought, okay, but what do you want? What do you like? And he said, I want a colorful blanket and a big blanket so I can lay under it. And we chose, I picked all the colors. It's again a Nell Malmedy, 100% superwash DK weight yarn. And I picked all the colors, and they are a little bit bright, but not really too bright. I love them. And I made a V-stitch blanket of it. It's again a one-person's blanket, bed size blanket. And every row I did another color, so it was quite some yarn weaving in. I think this was maybe the blanket where I decided Sundays will be my yarn weaving in day. I found the pattern also, I'm not quite sure, the V-stitch is quite an easy pattern, so I'm not sure if I used the pattern, but I found the V-stitch pattern at Lucy's blog from Attic 24. I really love this one. And the fun thing is, I think it's the most used handmade object in our house. Because we all use it, we all lay under it, we are all very happy with this blanket. And especially my husband, and it's really fun. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to tell you, but when he is coming home from his work, every now and then, I think there are more men doing that. They take a nap, because men, they need extra naps, I guess. I never do a nap. And I know there are also women doing a nap. Maybe it would be good for me to do a nap, but I'm not a nappy person. I'm a really good sleeper, but only in the nights. But he takes a nap, and he is laying at the couch, and he is wrapping himself all in this blanket, also over his head. And we are calling it, I don't know if that's a good English word, we are calling it cocooning. He's doing a cocoon sleep. So he's a little bit hidden at the couch, because maybe you have seen a picture once from our couch. We have so much pillows, crochet, embroidered. It's quite a big, busy couch with all the things, and he's laying there with all cocooning in his blanket. And the kids ask, where's Dad? Oh, he's doing a cocoon nap. And it's so fun, because it's a men's talent, I guess. They can nap everywhere. He's also a bit hidden. It's really fun. And he always says, I can't, wool's too itchy for me. I'm too sensitive for wool. But he forgets when he's cocooning. It's also next to his skin. It's also wool. So it's a mental thing. But okay, it's okay. It's okay if you want to have a mental woolly issue. It's okay. But it's really nice, and it was so much fun to make this blanket. I really want to make one again. Yeah, I really want to make all again. I really feel the blanket sparkle inside right now. But I do have some blankets on my needles, because we are now there. Let me start with the first one. I forgot to mention this in my Dutch episode. This is my latest cast on, and this will never be a blanket. I decided this morning. This is a DK weight blanket, and I didn't have a DK weight blanket on my needles right now, and every now and then I have those little ends for DK weight blankets. So I thought from DK weight projects. So I thought, okay, let me cast on a DK weight blanket. I will knit it, and I will just knit stripes. A little bit the same as that one, in which I will tell you more about. Which I will tell you more about in a minute. And I did start them, but it's not hard jumping. And last Saturday I was at the crafty day. I had a very wonderful time, and there was a lady with a scrappy sweater. And then I thought, okay, I don't want to knit a blanket from my DK weight scraps. I will collect them for scrappy weight sweater ones. So I will frog this. And maybe I will make a DK weight blanket later, but then with my goods, with the yarn I already have, not with my scraps, I guess. You never know what will happen. Then I have this one. Oh, my bracelet is laying on that. Then I have this one. This is the Coziest memory blanket. I did cast this on a few years ago, and I don't use it as a memory blanket. That's my memory blanket, in which I will tell you more about it. I will tell you more. There we go again. It will come. This one is the Coziest memory blanket, and I was always crocheting the blankets, but when I got into knitting, I really fell in love with the knitting blankets, and I saw them in podcasts, and they really touched my heart. They were heart jumping to me, so I really need knitted blankets in my life too. I really love the garter stitch for blankets. It's such a bouncy fabric, and it's just it gives us such a cozy feeling. So I did cast on this one, but I don't know. I worked on this for the last time, I think in the summer of 2022, when we were camping. I worked a little bit on this every morning, and since then I never touched it. And it's okay, because those blankets are okay to hibernate a bit. It's not, we don't need a blanket. We have enough blankets. So there are more process works right now than product works. And that's okay, but I really don't mind them laying there, just laying. But at the end of last year, I was going through all my projects, and I thought, I don't want it anymore. I don't know. And at the same time, one of my knitting friends, she made the most beautiful project bag with those squares. She knitted a lovely project bag. It's and the lining was fabric, but the outside were knitted squares. And also there was a beautiful story about it. Those were really memory squares to her, and it was really heart jumping, and I loved it. And I didn't want to make a project bag from this. It's way too big, but she really inspired me by thinking that it could also become something different than a blanket. And that was just what I need, because in the same time we have this pillow from our couch, and it's a lovely pillow. It's a thrifted embroidered piece of fabric, and I did sew another fabric at the back. And we used it for years and years, and although it's looking lovely, it's also getting old, and there are holes in it. So let me show you, especially here. Can you see it? It's really not holding up. So I thought, what shall I do with this pillow? So and then I thought, what should I do with this pillow, and what shall I do with this blanket? And then it's meant to be. They were a match. It was really fun. Let me see. I don't know why I did it, but I put the blanket on the pillow, and then it was the perfect size. It was the perfect size. So there we go. I hope you can see it. I did have to knit some squares. I have to do 3 right now, but when I was filming the Dutch podcast, I had my doubts. Maybe it will be too wide, because when it's a pillow, I really love the fabric, the knitted fabric. It's not nice when it's too loose. You have to tighten it up a bit, so because otherwise it's so flubbering and loose. So now I'm thinking that maybe it's better to remove this row. So I thought I had to add some squares, but now I think I have to remove some squares. So I will start with sewing those seams together, and then I know, but I'm quite sure. I did stuff the pillow quite a bit. It's a very big and heavy pillow. I have a basket with all my leftovers, all the yarn ends when I weave in yarn ends, but also the Christmas sock I didn't like, I cut I put in the basket, and some fabric pieces, scrappy fabric pieces, and all. There was a yarn ball from the thrift store my daughter bought, and she wasn't liking it, so we don't put it away. We put it in a basket, and I put it all in the pillow. So it's a very big and heavy pillow right now, and when I will wrap this blanket around it, I can't take it off anymore. I can't wash it, but I think I don't mind. So I think it will be lovely. So maybe you will see this blanket as a finished object quite soon. Because one of the things I don't like at those blankets is the backside. You can see the backside. It's not looking nice. I don't like ugly backsides. I'm sorry. So, okay. Then let's go to this one. Maybe I should have started with this one first, because this is also so hard jumping. This is the Northeasterly blanket. And I will put all the links down below to the patterns. I don't know all the designers and stuff. But this is the Northeasterly blanket. And the moment I saw this blanket, it's years ago. I'm quite sure. I think it was from Julia, from the Happy Knitting podcast. I'm quite sure, but not 100%, because it's 3-4 years ago. I don't know. But the moment I saw this blanket, I thought I want one myself. So I did start with it quite soon. And this is my memory blanket. I ended a stripe with my Christmas sock, so there are no needles in it. You cast on quite a little amount of stitches, I think 31, and you knit garter stitch with some increases and decreases, and a slip stitch which creates this shape. Oh, my stomach is bubbling. I'm hungry. Oh, could you hear that? Maybe I should have had some lunch before I started filming, but I was so looking forward to talk about my blankets with you. I hope it will be not too annoying. It's not very attractive. It's not a nice sound. But I started here, and it's every time I knit a pair of socks or another fingering weight project, I add a little bit in this blanket, and it's not coordinated. I just add sometimes a big part, sometimes just a small stripe, but it's really a memory blanket, and I love it. And it has the white for a 1-person bedspread, so that's I will keep it this way, I guess. So with the stripes horizontal instead of vertical. And I really love the colors. I really love the feeling. I don't love the backside because, again, I don't love ugly backsides. And you can see the backside is not nice. You can see where I did weave in the yarn ends. And I don't think there's a way I could avoid that, but yeah, it is what it is. I think it will be a bedspread, but also I hope I will be an old granny later. I will sitting with this blanket, all those memories of my knitting life. Oh, do you remember I made those socks for my husband? Oh, this was my little sweater. Oh yeah, that would be so lovely. And this is not a project with an end date. It will end someday when it's long enough. But I think I'm working on it for 2 years now, 3. I don't know. I can see it on my Ravelry page, I guess, when I started. And it's only growing slow. And I did used to knit more socks than I do now. So now it's every now and then I add a little part. It's okay. I love it so much. It's so much fun. And that was also the reason why I did hang it. I really love this little, I don't know how you call it, this thing you put in the wall. You can hang things on. It's a bit messy, I guess. But in Dutch we call it een spijker. I know the word for it. A nail? Nail. I don't know. I really love to have the nail there. It makes a little bit sense because I can hang beautiful things there and it's really lovely. Okay, another blanket. Maybe when you watch my podcast, my episodes, you recognize it. This is my Prague blanket. We went to Prague with the family in November because my son had a rugby tournament right there, and it was really a special holiday in just when we never go on holiday in November because the kids actually they had to go to school, and it was really nice, and of course it was really nice to see our son and to support them with the whole family. But I was really inspired by all the lovely colored houses in Czech and the buildings in Prague. I always say Prague, but it's Prague. Our friends had so much, they did laugh at me every time when I say Prague, but it's Prague, I'm sorry. And I went to the yarn shop, the Yarn Queen in Prague, and I picked all the colors. It was a birthday present because it was my birthday when we were there, and it was a birthday present for my parents and my sister. It's fingering weight yarn, it's Sandnes, Peer Gynt, and Sunday, and also some Filcolana Arvetta, but I did choose it by color, not by yarn. It's all fingering weight, and yeah, it's really lovely. I really love to work on it. I work on it every morning, and of course, because of the fingering weight, it's quite some time, a time-consuming project. But that doesn't matter because I really am happy with it, and I don't know how big it will be because the yarn is what I have. I don't have more, and I actually don't want to buy extra yarn for it because then I have to buy it in the Netherlands, so I won't go back to Prague soon. So that would be, yeah, I don't know. But we are saving money for a little Kemper van. And it would be lovely to have this in our camper van. So we are also not ready with the saving the money. So I can take some time. Yeah. Okay, and then the last one is also a hard jumping one, especially Not really, there is some dust around here. This is my Granny Stripes scrappy blanket. It's again not really hard jumping because of the colors, because actually I did choose a project for all my scrappy fingering weight yarns I didn't like, so there are quite some bright colors in it, also colors I do like, but yeah, I wanted to have a project I could use up my my scraps I don't like. I don't like this one, I don't like this one, and of course I don't like giving away yarn I don't like, and also it's as I said, when I only would crochet and knit with my favorite colors, when I only would do it with brown and all the bit, do you say nuded colors? I don't know. There's a bright part in me that also needs some attention. So here it is. And I really love it. It will be a bedspread, I guess. Or it can also be, because the Granny Stripes is back and forth, it can also be a blanket for at the couch. But I don't know. It's mainly a process knit. I really crochet. I really love crocheting Granny Stripes. It's really relaxing. And I make 2 stripes per color, and it's really the work when actually I am too tired in the evening to do something else. I actually have to go to bed then, but sometimes I want to sit for a little bit, just crochet, or I can always crochet. I can crochet Granny Stripes with my eyes closed. So it's a very nice project to have, and it's not it's not in a hurry. It's just laying there for my need of crocheting granny stitch. Yeah, so it grows very slowly, and that's perfect. Yeah. Okay, did I mention them all? Yes, I did. Those were all my blankets, and yeah, they are really hard jumping to me. I really love making blankets, and I will never stop making blankets. I will always have a blanket on my needles. Yeah, because it's so much fun to do, and I don't have a DK weight blanket right now. I will rip that out, but I can see me make another V-stitch blanket, or my mom is making a blanket with a blanket stitch for my little niece. That's also a very nice stitch. I never made a blanket with that stitch. And I also made a woodland ripple from Attic 24, but I all gave them away. That was also very nice. So there's so much possibilities. There are so many beautiful blanket designs. So yeah, I will, but I will work on the blankets I have on my needles right now first. That's a good idea, I guess. Yeah, that was it. If you have any questions about your blankets, I don't do questions in my podcast or on my Instagram, and I made that choice because it's way too time consuming to answer all the questions. So I always give heart, because I think every time someone reaches out to me, it's hard jumping to me. But I don't do questions, but I have a little part where I do questions right now, a membership on YouTube. I have it for a few weeks in English now. It's called Hard Jumping Friday, and every Friday there is an extra episode, a hard jumping episode. They are quite long. I make very long episodes. I'm sorry for that, for the members there. It was not my meaning to make such long episodes, but I just can't stop talking. It's so much fun. You can ask me questions right there, and it's really fun because I get so much lovely questions and about me, but you can ask also about your own work, and I don't know if I can answer all the questions, but I really love musing. That's the good word, I guess. Musing about knitting and crochet, and yeah, I have so much fun. And I also will share in those episodes more of my Sarah sauce process, sprinkling my Sarah sauce over my knitting work, and how I do that. I will deep dive with you into that right there. So if you are interested, you have to pay for it, so it's not for free. But if you are interested, you are more than welcome. There are quite a lot of people there. I'm so amazed and surprised, and it's really heart jumping to me that so many people love to watch what I have to tell, because I love to tell, and I would love it with no one watching also, I think, because I just love talking. But it's really fun that doing something you like is also appreciated by other people. There's also another level at the subscription. Be aware of that. That's in Dutch. So I have the Hard Jumping Fridays in English, and there's also the part Handwerk geluk, that's in Dutch. So yeah, you are welcome there too, but I don't think it's interesting if you don't speak Dutch. Yeah. Okay, so that's enough for today. I hope you have a very nice week with some heart jumping moments with your knitting or crochet. I have a good week, I guess. I'm working so nice on the sweater for my girl, and also my own colorwork project is I did start. I have the contrast color received this weekend, so I will work on that too, and I am really happy. So I can't wait to tell you all about that next Monday. But it was also very lovely to make a blanket episode. I hope you enjoyed. If you have blanket suggestions, if you are working on a nice blanket, or you have questions or you want to share something, you are always welcome to share them under the video, because I don't do the questions, but maybe there are other people who love to answer the questions. And it's also, I always read the comments under my own videos, of course, because I really love it when some people take the time to leave a comment. But I also love to read the comments under other podcasters' episodes every now and then, because there are so much useful information in the comments every now and then. So that's really nice. Okay, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye.